this is an actual text a friend of mine got from her kid. Mom, I can't find my left shoe, but I found 3 snacks in my backpack, 2 of which I don't remember packing, and also, why is the cat in my closet? Kids, right? Their quirks can make us laugh, but they also have this incredible ability to inspire and change the world. Every day, we're reminded of their passion, creativity, and resilience. And in today's episode, we'll meet one such amazing young woman who clearly has found both shoes and is well on her way to making a real difference. We'll also be joined by several dedicated individuals working tirelessly to provide our kids with the tools, inspiration, and opportunities they need to engage in meaningful initiatives, build resilience, and help their peers stay substance-free. Plus, we'll learn how we too can participate, bond, learn, and grow with our kids. I'm Jodie Sweetin, and welcome to Awkward Conversations, where we give parents practical advice on raising happy, healthy, substance-free kids, empowered to make smart choices, and maybe even change the world. So go grab some snacks of your own, maybe not in your backpack, let the cat out of the closet, and come join Amy and I as we meet these amazing humans.
Our first guest today is Sean Ferns, Chief of the DEA's Community Outreach and Prevention Support Office of Public Affairs. Sean, thank you for joining us.
Amy, Jodie, pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Next, we have Bill Bryan, Director of the Elks Drug Awareness Program. Bill, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Amy. Nice to be here.
Now, before we dive into our discussion, I just want to thank both Sean and Bill, not just for joining us today, but for being instrumental in making this show possible. Their support financially, technically, and inspirationally provides us with the expertise and resources we need. It's because of them that we can bring you this show. Huge thank you to them. Now, getting back to Sean, hello. We would love to have you tell us a little bit about the DEA's community outreach programs and what their core objectives are.
Sure, Jodie, thank you. DEA has been involved in getting out into the community and supporting drug prevention for almost 40 years now. And it actually started back in the mid-1980s when we lost a DEA special agent on the job down in Mexico. And high school kids in Calexico, California, at the high school where this agent had gone to school, started an after-school program and a message campaign out into the community. And so our goals are to raise awareness out in the community about the top drug threats that are facing America, to support and bolster attitudes which see that growing up healthy and drug-free is a good thing for youth and for adults, and to support any kind of infrastructure around the country that allow for the support of drug prevention and the ongoing messaging about those top drug threats. Those are really our core objectives: raise awareness, support attitudes, and to support infrastructure.
Now, Bill, I'd love to hear about some of the specific programs that the Elks offer to engage and empower young people and kids to live substance-free lives.
I would say in the last 30 years, we've become instrumental in strengthening communities where our individual lodges are. And part of that strengthening has to do with empowering kids through sports, arts, academics. We want them to take charge of their own lives. One element to do that is through the Elks Drug Awareness Commission, which has been around for, as I said, about 35 years. And I've had the honor of being the national director for the past couple of years. We believe that kids need to find a voice, which also requires us to listen to them. We have developed a variety of websites designed to reach young people. The principal site for youngsters K through, let's say, the 8th grade is called Elks Kid Zone, and the other one for older youth is called the Elks Teen Zone. These interactive websites contain a ton of information and provide youth on their level ways of addressing and coping with a variety of substance abuse issues. In addition to having those websites, we also conduct annual contests for kids. We have a poster contest, which is designed for elementary school kids, and their submissions to that contest actually create a comic book for distribution. During Red Ribbon Week, which occurs October 23 through 31, we encourage schools and communities to engage in a variety of activities and provide them with numerous ideas, along with thousands of red ribbons for distribution. To help us in our endeavors, we have also developed educational materials and lesson plans for teachers. They then become an arm of our program. And lastly, I'd just like to mention our costume mascot, Elroy, who makes an appearance all over the country. This lovable character has been delighting adults and children alike for many years.
We love Elroy. And
Yes.
I think last time you heard, we talked about how all of this started as a Marvel comic.
That's correct. About 19 years ago, we partnered with Marvel and developed a comic which we called Hard Choices. It featured Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four, and we did this in collaboration with SAMHSA. This became a very much sought-after comic and was used in a school setting as it contained a full lesson plan. Then we partnered with the DEA, thank goodness, and we developed a comic called Never Alone, which featured the Marvel Avengers. This comic dealt with bullying and peer pressure. Our most recent comic, it was entitled What Heroes Do, and it featured everyday heroes and kids who were making good decisions and thus became heroes themselves. From comics to videos, and then we created Awkward Conversations, and we all know what great work you all are doing there.
Wow, thank
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we are so glad to be here and partnered with the Elks and with the DEA. And it started as a Marvel comic. Maybe next year we'll be Marvel superheroes. I'm waiting for that.
I can't speak to that, but believe me, you are superheroes to me. But perhaps,
So kind.
Aw.
perhaps I could persuade Elroy to make an appearance on your show.
Perhaps Elroy could be here, or Elroy could be our new producer. We could do that too. I feel like he would love you,
Believe
Bob.
me, he couldn't do any worse.
Now, Sean, touching a little bit on what Bill talked about in the Elks partnership with the DEA, what are some of the most impactful programs that you have implemented, and can you share maybe a few success stories that you've had?
Jodie, I do want to echo what Bill had said about the power of the Awkward Conversations podcast for parents and caregivers, because there are a lot of different ways that parents can pick up tips on how to engage their kids. And this is like no other effort that's happening in the country, where it's a free and accessible podcast that's been going on for a couple of years now. There are some other projects that we've worked on with the Elks and with other community groups. I think a lot of parents would appreciate knowing about. One that immediately comes to mind is our current effort to raise awareness among families of the threats from fentanyl and fake pills. It's called One Pill Can Kill. And it is reflective of the sad reality that youth and young adults today can go online and purchase what they think might be a legitimate pharmaceutical pill, but in fact it is fake, and it could contain deadly fentanyl. And we are losing far too many young people today to fentanyl poisonings and other drug overdoses. To me, the opportunity to give parents the information so that they can have some conversations with their youth, and even more importantly, is the information that One Pill Can Kill has, which youth and young adults can have. And so it's peer-to-peer. That's going to be so much more impactful than us old farts talking down to kids. No, I'm not calling you or I an old fart.
Oh, I'm calling myself one, and my kids would probably be like, yeah, I just get called a millennial now. They're like, you're such a millennial. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Better than okay boomer. Anyway, so that, again, One Pill Can Kill is important. Operation Prevention is important to us because it's an effort geared toward giving teachers and homeschool parents materials that they can engage kids with in the classroom, so that a young person who is looking to make a decision about whether they should experiment with something have the science behind what it is in that substance that may not go over so well with their systems within their body. And that then empowers young people to say, hey, I know what I'm going to put into my body, and I'm going to avoid that. Operation Prevention is helpful. And I mentioned Red Ribbon. Red Ribbon was started by kids, and what better type of campaign to support than one where young adults and youth across the country are coming together to really reinforce that social norming message that most young people don't use substances and don't misuse substances. So those are just three that immediately come to mind.
Yeah, and you all know that we're never going to leave you hanging. All of the information about those programs that Sean just discussed are in our show notes, and catch our first 2 episodes if you haven't already to learn more and hear about the fentanyl crisis and the faces of fentanyl.
Now, both Sean and Bill, you have both touched on the idea of Red Ribbon Week, which is in October. October is, of course, Drug Prevention Month. But why don't you tell us a little bit about Red Ribbon Week, how it started?
Back in the 1980s, the nation was faced with a growing problem of initially powdered cocaine, followed by crack cocaine. And there were a lot of DEA agents working down in Central and South America to try and stop that drug trafficking before it comes to the U.S. And we had one particular special agent named Enrique Camarena, who was lost he was murdered by drug traffickers. And kids at his high school, where he had gone to school in Southern California, started what became Red Ribbon. What took it national outside of California were a group of really active and caring parents who said, you know what, this message has to spread. And so they established that last week of October 23rd through 31st as Red Ribbon Week, and it still continues today. Some kids might not know it as Red Ribbon because maybe their middle school or their elementary school calls it something different now. They call it Spirit Week, for example, during October, where all the kids are encouraged to dress in red. But that really is the start from Red Ribbon Week. It's the longest running anti-drug awareness campaign in the nation. And there's a lot of different ways that young people can get involved, as can their parents and caregivers. If a parent who might be watching this podcast, for example, has a hook with City Hall or a local public landmark, and they can have it turned red during Red Ribbon in order to signal to the community, hey, we want this area to know we're outspoken and trying to get that message out that drug use is not great for kids' health. There's a patch that Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts could earn doing an anti-drug activity in their scout troop during Red Ribbon. There are web pages with lots and lots of information around Red Ribbon and about drug awareness. It can be as simple as just wearing a red ribbon to school. And when a friend or a classmate asks, hey, what's that red ribbon all about? It's an opportunity to start a conversation, again, peer-to-peer, not teacher talking down or vice principal having to talk down or a big assembly in the gymnasium, but it's just these one-on-one conversations where a young person feels empowered that, hey, I know what this is all about and I get it, and I'm going to choose to live happy and drug-free. Obviously, Jodie, I would love for us to really remember that Red Ribbon can't just be celebrated during the last week of October, that it's year-round, that the very best way to tackle drugs is to have these conversations anytime there's an opportunity and not just save it during October simply because it's National Prevention Month.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot, about not waiting for the right time to have a conversation, not waiting to have an hour-long conversation with your kids, that really 61-minute conversations with your kids in the car or when you're watching a movie or you see something on the news, those are way more impactful than sitting your kid down for a lecture and having a big drawn-out thing. It's finding those moments of an in and those moments of either asking questions or finding out about what's going on, what their knowledge base is, how much are they aware of drugs at their school, and having those age-appropriate conversations. But again, we say it all the time, the only conversation that is the wrong one to have is the one that you don't have. So just keep having those conversations, and that's all that we are here to really encourage parents to do. Now, I despite obviously the incredible youth of all of our guests here, I would love to talk to, I meant it, Sean. I meant it.
Sean, you were the one that said old fart previously. Just a reminder.
Now, our next guests are Bella Cornett, a high school student from Mayfield, Kentucky, who is the president for the Graves County Agency for Substance Abuse Youth Council. And joining her is Dr. Shannon Moody, the Chief Policy and Strategy Officer at Kentucky Youth Advocates. Dr. Moody and Bella, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Jodie and Amy.
Hello, thank you.
Absolutely. Dr. Moody, I'd love to hear you tell us a little bit about what the Kentucky Youth Advocates, what they do, and what the mission is.
So Kentucky Youth Advocates is a nonprofit organization in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and our focus is making Kentucky the best place in America to be a kid. And we do that by lifting up data and research that helps connect decision makers and policymakers to what's best for kids and families. And we also create opportunities through several initiatives to lift up the voices of young people with their lived experience or things that interest them to take to policymakers and decision makers to ideally make Kentucky that place.
And one of the things that we do on this show is always talk about not only speaking to your kids, but listening to them as well. And
they are the future of our state.
Absolutely. Bella, I would love to hear about your involvement with the Youth Council. I know that recently you, I believe, became president after being event chair for a while. So congratulations on your promotion. That's incredible.
Thank you. As I did get promoted, so I have 2 jobs right now. So as event chair, I go and I show up, but as president, instead of me just showing up, I'm active, I'm speaking, I go to all of the events, I make sure that if they need someone to speak, that I'm there to speak, and I allow my personal connections to connect with other people.
Love that. Now, one of the programs that I know that you have been running, it was an initiative called Friday Night Done. I would love to hear about that because I know we're always looking for activities, substance-free activities for young people to do that are fun, that are free, that are community involved. So Friday Night Done sounds like a really great program. What did that involve?
So it's during football season. So every Friday night that there is a football game, we meet at a community center, and it's like a block party. We have a DJ, we do giveaways, we have food, costume parties, just different like contests and events that allow the youth to know that you can still have parties, you can still have fun without the substances involved.
I'm not sure. We might be too old, but maybe we can get an invite. Sounds so
Actually,
fun.
I will say I remember my high school days on Friday nights. We had an event that was at the community center that I forget what it was called, but everybody went and it was at the community center. And once you were in, you couldn't leave. They kept a strict eye on everybody. But that was where everyone in my high school went on a Friday night. You just go and dance. And again, it was DJs and giveaways and things. And there aren't a lot of opportunities like that for kids right now. And so I love to hear that those things are being done, particularly for kids in high school, and giving them resources and places to go hang out that are healthy, that are fun, and showing them that substances are not a necessary component of a fun night out with your friends.
And by kids and by other young people
Yeah.
like Bella.
Absolutely. Now, what is the You Are Loved campaign? That was something that I heard that you were involved in as well.
Yes, so that goes on during Mental Health Month. It is built off of End the Stigma, because we know that there's a lot of stigmas put on mental health and other things. And every year that changes. This year it was called You Are Loved. We do like stickers and like stress balls, pins, suicide awareness walks, mental health walks. And it's just to put that stuff out there so people that are scared to speak out know that there are people speaking out and it's not scary.
That's wonderful.
Now, Dr. Moody, can you talk a little bit about the importance of youth involvement and also youth-led involvement in the education and the fight against drug abuse and misuse? We've all said that peer-to-peer conversation is really where it happens. And I know as someone who has been in recovery for years, no one can speak to you like someone within that community, whether it's a young person, whether it's someone else in recovery. So what's the importance that you see of youth involvement in this activism, and how does it help prevent substance use?
Yeah, we like to think of young people as the experts of their own lives. We think it's critical that young people have an opportunity to weigh in on decisions that may be made for them, programming that may affect them. We are able to lift up their voices in decision-making opportunities to make sure that they have an opportunity to provide testimony or be involved in meetings with decision makers to help influence how they are impacted by substances and experiences in their own communities. One example recently is we had a group of 15 young people from across the Commonwealth meet with the Attorney General's office because they have a big focus on the opioid abatement and the opioid settlement dollars that are coming into the state. And we want young people to have a really strong say in what prevention programming looks like for them and what is going to be most impactful for them.
Absolutely. I know I have teenage daughters, and something that I can think is like cool or that I say, and they just look at me like, that's so not the thing. So it really is about getting young people involved so that they can talk to their peers in a way that isn't patronizing, preaching, lecturing, but that's just conversational and that shows other young people that not everyone is making the same choice. People are out there making healthy, smart, empowered decisions, and that's really what we want for our kids and what we want from this program. You're watching Awkward Conversations Season 4.
Saving lives means staying informed. Knowing the dangers of using fake prescription pills can help those you care about and keep our community safe. As a parent, educator, neighbor, or friend, we all play a role in building safe and healthy futures for ourselves and our loved ones. Do your part to take the first step today. Visit GetSmartAboutDrugs.com to access education, prevention, and treatment resources. Fake prescription pills laced with fentanyl are deadly. Be their protector. Be informed. Visit GetSmartAboutDrugs.com.
Welcome back to Awkward Conversations Season 4. Now, Bella, can you share your experience a little bit about being on the Youth Council and how it's influenced your views on substance misuse?
So my involvement began in my hometown when driving down the road, turning every corner, you see somebody using some type of substance, and me joining ASAP showed that like all those people that I see compared to ASAP it's not normal with what everyone's saying is normal. Also, a close friend of mine from 5th grade was dealing drugs and getting involved with some really bad substances, and I was able to help him get into the program and find the resources that he needed to get out of that.
I just love hearing that you really helped your friend without judgment, and again, with ending that stigma of being able to ask for help and having people in your life just be there to accept you. That's just so important.
Bella, we have parents ask all the time, how can my child help their friends, or how can help my child help their friends? We have you here today as a young person. We'd love to hear what thoughts you might have on how young people can support their friends who might be struggling with substance use.
I think one of the most important things is to be sensitive enough to understand where they're coming from and understand like why they're doing what they're doing and finding them the right ways out and without the judgment.
Sounds a lot like empathy. And I think empathy is something that we need more of in the world right now. Empathy is what helps us really solve problems and come to discussions and opposing points of view and really be able to meet somewhere in the middle. So I love hearing you talk about that. I would love to hear maybe from Dr. Moody or Sean, when is the appropriate time to tell young people, now is the time that you need to get adults involved? You know, that we want to empower young people to help each other and to make the right decisions. But when is it that the young person sees themselves or someone else in struggling that they should find an adult, a trusted adult that they can go to?
For me, when young people are feeling like there's a situation where they're unsafe, if they are starting to have some fear around what the outcomes are, bringing in a trusted adult and just letting them know what's going on, giving them the context, not to get anyone in trouble or not to necessarily even stop the situation, but to inform somebody to make sure that there's a possibility that somebody is unsafe and somebody needs to step in.
We all echo Dr. Moody. The sooner that a young person can go to a trusted adult in their life, whether that's a parent figure or a teacher or a priest, rabbi, minister, someone that they feel that they can talk to. Because look, I hate to bring up the unfortunate reality, but substances are so potentially deadly these days that just one innocent experimentation could end up forever altering that young person's life. And so their friends can literally save their life. You, as a young person, can save a life by going and talking to somebody else. And hopefully, and I'm so glad Bella mentioned the word stigma earlier. Sometimes there's this stigma that I don't want to be a tattletale, or I don't want to narc out my friend and I'll lose that friendship. There's a decision to be made about, do you want to risk that, or do you want to risk having to go to a funeral? And I hate to be so morbid about it, but that's the hard reality of it. And kids are talking to kids regardless, and it's happening. So if a parent is in denial that, oh, my kid's not involved in any of that stuff, they very well are aware of conversations, and empowering your child to be able to step in and help their friends when their friends need help. You can't start soon enough.
Bella, how has being part of a supportive peer group really helped you to make positive choices and helped you to influence your peers to make positive choices?
Being a part of this supportive peer group and the youth council has shown me and my family members and others around me you don't have to follow the negative behaviors, and the normal isn't as normal as everyone makes it out to be. It provides a positive influence for me and others around me, no matter the age, no matter how young, how old. That being said, like my little sister, she's in 8th grade and she's now involved in it, and she sees how life-changing it can be.
That's wonderful. It's a family affair in some ways. How important do you think family involvement is in general for these types of initiatives?
I think it's important because our parents and our family members are our role models. They're the people that we look up to. So we see them doing positive, we want to do positive.
Absolutely. We talk about role modeling all the time here for that parents and adults and trusted adults in children's lives can show the pathway forward. So absolutely. That's wonderful.
Now, Dr. Moody, what advice would you give to young people who are perhaps looking to get involved in substance abuse prevention and activism? Are there places that they can go? Are there steps that they can take to move forward on that journey?
I encourage young people to look for opportunities to connect with, whether it's within their school or within Boys and Girls Clubs or other out-of-school time activities where there are opportunities presented to speak out, to help share their stories. Empowering young people through activism can be confidence building and boosting. It can really help create connection and purpose. So the more opportunities that we provide young people to get involved, the better. And as far as what Bella is doing, she's done an incredible job both on the community level and then on the state level as well, talking to decision makers, bringing in her stories and perspectives to our capital, as well as encouraging her peers and getting them engaged on the local level.
Throughout the season, we are talking with people about building ego and self-worth and purpose and leadership.
One thing I learned early on in recovery was in order to build self-esteem, you do esteemable acts, whether that's opening the door for someone, whether it's thank you. I mean, simple little esteemable acts that you build up over time really do make you feel better, and then you get to share that with the world. And I think that's a huge piece in combating substance abuse misuse, is helping build those young people's self-esteem.
Bella, tell us what advice you have for other young people who want to make a difference in their communities.
I advise other young people to get involved in advocacy work or some type of community work because it can provide a sense of purpose and help them see that change is possible no matter like how small or how big it is. My activism has expanded my worldview and shown me the new possibilities for my future and that it's bigger than just my hometown.
Absolutely. What are your plans for the future, Bella?
So I plan on attending Murray State University for my undergraduate, and then from there I plan on going to Arkansas for medical school to become a pediatric surgeon. But here recently I've had a big interest in going into the Army.
Call us at Boston Children's Hospital when you're ready. We'd love to have you on the line.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got a lot of help out here. They're waiting for the young people to come and take this generation to the next level. So it sounds like, Bella, you are well on your way. And Bella, I hear along with going to Murray State University that you also got another accolade in your hometown. Would you like to tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, this past Saturday I was crowned as Miss Purchase District for my local town.
Absolutely.
It gives you more of a platform,
Yep.
which we know you're going to do great things
Yes.
with.
Wow, you're doing great things, Bella. Really proud of you, and you should be proud of yourself too. Thank you so much, team. I'm honored to get to have this conversation with such incredible young people as Bella and Dr. Moody, Sean Ferns, Bill Bryan at the Elks. We are really incredibly grateful to all of you for allowing us to do 4 seasons of awkward conversations and to help bring awareness and education not only to families but to young people and to everybody who is affected by this. I would love to hear some sort of closing thoughts from everyone. Sean, why don't we go ahead and start with you? What are some things that you would like to leave our audience with today?
I think it's important for every parent and caregiver that takes the opportunity to listen to this podcast to know that they should take every opportunity to encourage their child or their neighbor's child to be absolutely involved and engaged and outspoken, and not just at school, but as they venture out onto social media, for them to share their thoughts and comments. It's almost not enough anymore just to know that they're going to make a personal decision to not use or misuse substances, but to talk to their peers about it and explain their thought process and to advertise that. That's something to be really proud of. And Bella's one great example of her living outspoken and proactively in her community in Kentucky. And she is but one of millions across the country that are doing just that. And that's to be applauded and encouraged by every parent and every caregiver.
Thank you, Sean. And Bill, what would you like to leave us with from the Elks and all of the amazing work that you're doing in the community?
I'm not sure this is coming from the Elks. I think it's coming from Bella, who has given an old guy like me hope in the younger generation. I'm so proud of what she's done. And I know that if young people out there would only take the time to give back to their community, they would feel the same passion that we all do, the same great feeling that they get from that. And I can't stress enough that if we want to empower young people, we have to be good role models.
Absolutely. Thank you, Bill. And Dr. Moody, what would you like to leave us with?
I want to ask parents to create space for young people to lift up their voice, raise that awareness, get involved, speak their mind, and then also invite young people to bring somebody along, bring one of their peers along to share in that, create opportunities to also share their voice and feel empowered. Because I think the more included people feel, the healthier that we are in general, and the more likely that our young people are going to be substance free.
And Bella, what amazing words would you like to leave us with?
I think it's important for you to find some type of supportive group or to set some type of goal, something as small as making up their bed or, like you said, holding a door for someone, because empowered youth are less likely to engage in substance misuse. And not only that, but that they see it's not as normal as they're making it out to be.
I remember my mom used to say, not everyone is doing it.
And your mom was right.
I finally get to tell her, Mom, you were right. Pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate it and appreciate all the work that you're doing out there. Thank you so much.
Jodie, Amy, thank you so much for all you're doing across not just this episode, but all the episodes this season. We really appreciate both of you, and we wish you all the best.
Jodie and Amy, we so appreciate being guests on the show, and keep up the great work. The podcast is incredible.
Thank you.
I think season 4 is the best one yet. And thank you for what you're doing.
Jodie and Amy, thank you for having me. I was actually listening to your song on my way here. I had a little nerve, so I usually dance out my nerves. So I played your song to help bounce them out.
Oh, yay!
Oh my gosh, I
Which,
didn't even
the
know
Boy
you had
Next
a
Door
song.
one? Is that the one? The
Yes.
Fuller House one? Got it.
Oh my
Got it.
gosh, I didn't even know you had a song. I'm going to have to listen to it.
Yeah, there's a few of that. I had a Christmas one come out.
Oh,
and then
cool.
I just got nominated for a Canadian Emmy
You're
for an
kidding.
original
That's-
song for a movie that we did. Yeah. So
Why aren't we
anyway,
highlighting
yeah,
this? That's
singing
cool, yeah.
is fun. I love it. But I'm so glad that it brought you some inspiration today.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
We're all Jodie's biggest fans, so you're not alone in that.
Thanks, guys.
Have you ever been told to do something or else? Pressured into fitting in, doing the popular thing? Then you've had a taste of bullying and peer pressure. And sadly, our kids are dealing with this every day.
There's a certain classmate who looks up to you and your friends and would give anything if you included them just one time, and yet you never do. It may lead your child to say not what's wrong with the bully, but what's wrong with me? And when a child starts asking themselves, what's wrong with me? That's when we know the potential for long-term damage has taken root. And that's one of the biggest danger signs that parents need to look for.
A lot of times some bullies do have some form of trauma that they're living through and they're acting out behaviorally. It could be linked to other mental health symptoms. And so it is important to look on both ends at the bully and the victim.
Get your child engaged where they can meet other kids the same age with whom they have something in common. You've got to perform triage on your lonely child and then work institutionally in partnership with the school and the parents of the bullies, helping them to heal through that disciplinary process.
Make sure to check out getsmartaboutdrugs.com. Parents, caregivers, you can find so many resources of great information there about how to talk to your kids and make these conversations a little less awkward. A huge thank you to the Elks DAP, which is the largest all-volunteer nationwide drug awareness program, and also a huge thanks to the DEA for their outreach program and for making this possible.
The views, information, or opinions expressed during the Awkward Conversation series are solely those of the individuals, speakers, commentators, experts, and/or hosts involved, and do not necessarily reflect nor represent those of the production, associates, or broadcaster, or any of its employees. Production is not responsible and does not verify for accuracy any of the information contained in the series available for viewing. The primary purpose of this series is to educate and inform. This series does not constitute medical or other professional advice or services. This series is available for private, non-commercial use only. The production, broadcaster, or its channel cannot be held accountable for all or any views expressed during this program.